Let's see if this is any better now. Hopefully, no more glitching here. Like, ever since I touched NVIDIA Broadcast with the camera, my GPU glitched, I think. And it probably borked the driver, and I had to restart the computer. It looks like it's better. Let me know if it's better, guys. Let me know. All clear. Awesome, awesome. Way better. My bad, guys. I touched NVIDIA Broadcast's beta software and it borked the driver on my computer for it. Oh my lord. And note to self, can't use that shit. You know me, it's like I'm gonna, if there's a new feature, I want to play around with it and see how it works. Yeah, it doesn't work too well. It's still in beta. They obviously got some kinks to work out of that bad boy. So sorry about that, fellas. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, fellas. Sorry. My bad. Don't forget to smash that lizardy like button here, guys. Subscribe if you're new. All that good stuff, guys. Yo! So, let's try to get back into what I was trying to do in the first place, which was trying to have a good stream, right? But playing around with new stuff. Note to self, cannot do that as of right now. I'm not sure if I got to update my driver. Maybe my driver's not new enough to support it. That could probably be it. Something probably really stupid, but yeah, I did not like that one. Moving along, guys. Moving along. So check this out, guys. So careful about grabbing GPUs from outside of the country. So it looks like some Chinese retailer platforms are not being so truthful about new graphics cards. Now, we've already known about that. It's like, what the fuck happening? Yo, what up? A golden wolf? Yeah, bad software in beta. Yeah, but I'm always willing to check it out. Always willing to check it out. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. This time it didn't work out so well. But guys, be careful about grabbing cards out of Chickadee China, guys. We all know that they've, been producing fake GPUs, trying to sell lower grade GPUs as if they were higher tier cards. This is not a new thing coming out of China. It looks like now they're now trying to sell used mining equipment as new, guys. And China's not very good weather all the time, depending on where they're coming from. Some of the areas get hot. These cards get burnt up basically through the heat, through the rainy season, all that bad stuff, right? So what they'll end up doing, and you can see it pretty well here if it'll load. Here you go. The two chiplets on the bottom are used, and the chiplets above are newer, right? Or I say the two that are still soldered on the board, how they're black. As soon as they start getting this yellowish discoloration on there, you can tell that they've been through a heat cycle. Now, a heat cycle doesn't necessarily mean that it mined itself to death. That is one answer. But this is also a sign that it could have been from a salvage board, right? So somebody could have taken a known good memory module, desoldered it, resolder balled it, and put it onto a fresh PCB, or a PCB that only had one bad memory module versus maybe that memory came off of a card that had a cracked GPU die, right? And all the rest of the components are still good on there. Therefore, you got a parts bin. You go to salvage a new GPU. Now, what you're going to see, this is coming. You're going to see this more coming out of the secondhand market. When you start dipping into the used GPU market, It looks like since we're coming out of the mining boom, you're going to see a whole bunch of people that are going to try to offload their GPUs and try to recover as much money back out of that GPU as humanly possible. So be careful, guys. This is the type of stuff that you're going to see. So you're going to see discoloration on the memory modules. Unfortunately, you're not going to see this when you're buying the GPU. This is the way that it, you'll see them coming in with discoloration in the center, showing that they've been overheated and worked to death, guys. And on the left here, this is a PCB section for the VGA core that is in good shape. The one on the right, that one is one that has gone through a heat cycle. Now, mining on this is not going to discolor that bluish green to a straight up green, right? So it goes from an aqua blue to a green. A heat cycle on this thing is not what did this one in. Somebody resolder balled this and put this onto a new new PCB die, GPU set, right? So this VGA core was a good VGA core that came off of a bad graphics card PCB, right? Resolder ball to put back on. This has gone through a resoldering heat cycle. That's the only way you can put that kind of heat load into this. The GPU itself, if it got hot enough to discolor it this badly, this die would be cracked. That is serious heat load coming off of it. They will protect themselves from that. Therefore, this is the sign that you're looking for that it is a reconditioned at least GPU, if not been retransplanted. This shows this is the sign of being retransplanted. They could have tried reflowing the solder on the solder balls underneath, and if they thought that they heated it up enough to melt the solder joint. But if they did that kind of heat to this, again, this thing would have shorted out and died. There's no coming back from damage like this. So kind of be careful when you're looking at die sets. Again, this here is another one that has been retransplanted. That's why the coloration is different. You're not going to get this coloration from just mining it to death. You would have this would be a damaged VGA core if this thing got that hot, right? This has more than likely been resolder balled. So this is a transplant. It's common practice from the vendors to take a good VGA core and swap it out onto a new PCB setup as a known repair. But in order to get it that hot from just mining on it, it died. there's no question about it. It died. And same thing with this. If you guys haven't sitting there and taken any notice on this, that 6900 and 6800 GPUs are mysteriously dying and nobody knows why. Chris Fix out of Germany has seen an influx of damaged GPUs coming in where the silicon of the die is actually separated. They think that, some people think that if it was repaired improperly in a high moisture area. Other people are suspecting that these things were freaking mined to death. And if it's the latter, yeah, at least a reball. So they're thinking that these are reconditioned GPUs that were being sold from a third-party vendor. So used equipment, of course. But it's like people have been buying these things. And in 48 hours had seeing cards that have been sent out over to service. 48 had the same defect, and the defect rendered them unrepairable. This has more than likely been somebody who serviced it and either squished the hell out of it, or these things mine themselves to death, or they're thinking that it was just in a high moisture environment and died. I've been mining on my 6800 here since day one on the launch. I've had absolutely no issues with my 6800 XT. It's sitting in my mining room right now, just in the other room, just behind this camera. I've got a 6800 XT that's been mining away without any issues. This is where I say it's not a mining issue that from my experience, right? Unless you have a person that was just setting these GPUs up to mine and let them go at full power. Then you can start talking about the potential of damage. Outside of that, again, I've been having my GPUs mining away. Absolutely no issues. I've got 1070s and 1070 Ti's outside of a dirty cooler and no longer the original fans on them. You crack those GPUs open, you will not be able to tell the difference. These things were not, it's like they were mined, they got hot, they got warm, but not so hot that it could have caused any potential damage. The only way that you get that is either you're not undervolting it and you're letting it drink all the power it can handle, and on top of that, they're not in a well ventilated area where they're basically working in worse conditions than a sweatshop, right? I don't think that they are purely just reballs. So I mean, Chris Fix, he's seen the 48 cases occur in the past 3 weeks. Digging into it, it looks like it's coming from one vendor. So some people were thinking that it was the update on there for the drivers. Drivers aren't going to change the behavior of how this thing runs. The only way that you can change the behavior of how this GPU runs overall is by doing a BIOS flash. Now, if these things have been BIOS flashed and they have the wrong power values in there, then yes, you could have these potential issues in there, especially while gaming. Like, you set up a game, the power values are wrong because somebody did a BIOS flash on there. This is why I don't sell GPUs that have been BIOS modded unless I revert the BIOS back to stock. This way, somebody behind me is not going to have any potential, issues down the road. But this almost looks more like, either these things have been BIOS modded and it's got the wrong power tables on here, or these things were basically just abused from this particular vendor. And when they did their reflashing on there, they could have reballed this thing and gotten it too hot when they did it, and basically cracked the die, and they never retested anything afterwards and sold it as is. Yeah, oh my god, poor GPU core. So this is basically what they've been noticing. And if you look at it, they've got that, I forget what the hell, it's like a pad. It's like a thermal pad. And you can see that it's even torn, the thermal pad's torn, like either it got squished too hard, possibility that it could have been squished too hard, or during the reballing process, they got the VGA core, the silicon too hot. The silicon got a little goopy, and nobody retested this thing after they reballed it. Or if they did, it was a quick 2-second test, and then they packaged it up, not realizing it during that 2-second test it failed. And they didn't have it on long enough to detect the failure. But either way, be careful of where you guys are grabbing your GPUs from. You're not going to get your money back for this. Unless you use PayPal and you're like, hey, they sold me a defective GPU. That would be the only way, guys. Not knowing what the color is of the PCB that the VGA core sits on, this looks a little dark. Like, this should be have a little bit more blue highlights in it. So this almost shows as if it was reflowed at least, if not transplanted. If that's the case, the vendor that did this damaged the shit. Unfortunately, people are out of money now. We're going to be so be careful, guys, grabbing cards on the secondhand market. I cannot stress this enough. As we start seeing people exiting the market, we're gonna see some that kind of happened during the 2018 cycle too. People were just offloading GPUs that were freaking busted. People were buying broken GPUs on eBay, guys. So be careful. If you buy a GPU, read the description thoroughly to make sure that they did not use the words parts card. In the title, they have one thing. In the description, they have another. So read the description of the device. Make sure that if you're buying secondhand, that it does not state that it's a parts card, that it states that it's working, a functioning GPU at the time of purchase. Because as long as they've got that verbiage in there that it is tested, known good, and you get it and it does not work, then you have a leg to stand on with eBay. And if you're using PayPal, PayPal will side with you. So stay frosty out there, guys. This is kind of one of those PSAs moments, public service announcement. Stay frosty out there. Don't buy busted GPUs, everybody. Yo. So let's go ahead and get into some of today's stuff. Yo. And here we go. We got trading with the view, guys. Yo. S&P 500 kind of flatline. NASDAQ down 0.3%. Busy Bitcoin's been floating between 3 and 5% up for the day. We almost got to 2,400 per Bitcoin. The dollar has lost a 0.25% of its strength overall. Dow Jones Industrial Average kind of flatline, and the Russell 2000 is up 0.25%. Russell 2000 is where ARK Investment and MicroStrategy's their funds are sitting in. These are two of the biggest hedge funds out there that have the most amount of Bitcoin. So that the Russell 2000 has a Bitcoin exposure to it, which is amazing. And of course, we have our sweet Busy Bitcoin here, where it touched out today at $23,800 as the high. As now the Bears are now in fight with the Bulls, guys. Like I said, we should kind of establish a new little floor here. If we have a small little light cool off, which would be a small little pullback, I'm not going to sit there and say that it is a bad thing. Since we've hit gone back in the $20,000 range, we've been kind of trading sideways, which is, to me, a good indication. We have a little bit of a pop, cool off, have another little pop. Small little step ups are a lot better overall versus just a parabolic rise. A parabolic rise means that you are in nasty bubble territory, and the pop, usually when it pops, it hurts. So seeing it kind of step up, just on little increments here, I'm going to look at that as a healthy market. We are now trading above the median line, which means that we are not in oversold nor overbought territory. We are in a neutral trading position, guys. For me, this is a good market sentiment coming into quarter Q1. People are done with the tax losses and stuff like that. There are a few other exchanges that looks like they're having issues moving forward, guys. So do be careful when you're doing some of your trading, guys. You have companies like Genesis, who's suing Roger Ver. If you guys don't know who Roger Ver is, he used to be the Bitcoin Jesus. That's what they called him back in the day. And then he came into being the shitcoin Jesus, because he turned into a big blocker, and sided with Bitcoin Cash, which is not Bitcoin. That was a consensus change that the rest of the Bitcoin ecosystem did not agree with. It was a contentious fork, which split some of the hash rate up. So Roger Ver is a big blocker. and had not seen him for a few years. And then last year he pops up talking about a gas station or a convenience store in the middle of nowhere that had a Bitcoin Cash ATM that he had put in. Nobody really cared. But needless to say, now you got a little bit of an update of who this guy is. So as he was sitting there in the early days of Bitcoin, he was a big proponent for promotion of Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash or B-Trash. He borrowed from Genesis $20.8 million for whatever it was that he was doing during those 2 days. And basically now, since Genesis Mining has filed for a Chapter 11 bankruptcy, or they're basically trying to rein in all the outstanding debt, because if they can avoid actually going through with the Chapter 11 bankruptcy, this is a good thing for them. So they're going to try to rein in any kind of debt. So if Roger Ver does not come to court to attest this, basically it's going to be in favor of the plaintiff, which is going to be GGC International Limited, which that is Genesis, which means that Roger Ver is on the hook for $20.8 million, which he probably no longer has. So this would pretty much bankrupt his butt. So Roger Ver had not responded to Cointelegraph's request for comment at the time of writing. Last year, Roger Ver also made headlines alleging of defaulting on debt. CoinFlex CEO Mark Lamb claimed that Roger Ver owes the firm $47 million and was bound by a written contract. On June 28th, Ver also denied these claims without directly mentioning the company. So he's like running from all of his debt that he's racked up, thinking that Bitcoin Cash would fly off the hook, and it never did. And it's pretty much going to bankrupt him. But a lot of this stuff all kind of happened because the crypto lender has filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy. As the lawyers go through all of the documents that Genesis has, they're also going to go through all the outstanding debt, because as part of the restructuring, if they can avoid actually filing for Chapter 11, they will do so. So that's some of the nice things about with what they're doing here. Now, if they can prove that they have more owed to them than they owe out, then it's just a matter of how to collect. And if they can collect, they can avoid bankruptcy altogether. But if it's impossible to collect, then Chapter 11 moves forward, and it's basically a restructuring agreement that happens, and anybody that was involved with Genesis gets screwed. You become debtors, they pay pennies to the dollar, and it gets new CEOs to take over and start managing the debt moving forward. So unfortunately, Genesis might be screwed if this is their biggest loan that they have out on their books. I do know that that other mining facilities owe them too, that have put their mining equipment up as collateral. And there are other companies out there like BlockFi here. BlockFi to sell $160 million in Bitcoin miner-backed loans, according to this report. So the crypto lending firm BlockFi. So I hope nobody that here has anything left in BlockFi, because they are a fucking sinking ship right now that had a lot of FTX on their balance sheets. They're screwed. So the bankrupt crypto lending firm BlockFi reportedly has plans to sell $160 million in loans backed around 68,000 Bitcoin mining machines as part of the bankruptcy proceedings. In a Bloomberg report on January 24th, the two people familiar with the matter claimed that BlockFi started the process of selling off loans last year, guys. So the crypto lender filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in November, citing its significant exposure is now defunct crypto exchange FTX for its downfall. That's not all of their downfall. They were sitting here and trying to become a bank, and they were a bank that had no government backing. That is the difference between being a bank and being the central bank. If you're on good sides with the central bank has your back and will bail you out. Look at Wells Fargo. They got bailed out for doing bad business. But because they didn't do anything with crypto, they were bailed out. So BlockFi trying to do some of the same things that a bank does, they got left hung out to dry on this one. And to blame FTX for their overexposure in the market is, it's like, yes, FTX screwed them, but it was also the fact that they were loaning out more than they were actually holding. You can't do that. It's like you can't sit there and wait for your depositors to deposit more money so you can loan more money out. That is a Ponzi scheme. Let's be straight up honest about it. BlockFi was running a Ponzi, where they were requiring new people to continuously drop in crypto into their Ponzi to keep it going, just like FTX. So this was just a huge issue between all of it. Now FTX is going to be going down. Genesis is going to be going down. It's like we're looking at other exchanges that are looking at the potential of having issues, right? Fucking, we're looking at the exchange that the Winklevoss twins has. They're looking at having issues. They were going to get fined by the SEC for having unregistered securities. We're going to see a lot of these exchanges starting to have issues here in the United States moving forward. So, guys, don't keep your freaking Bitcoin on an exchange. If you don't have the private keys, it's not your cheese. The XC3s are great. Yeah, they are, Crypto Hunter. Panama Papers. Yeah. It's like I cry half my gains from last year stuck pending from there. Yep. And I'm sorry to hear that, Golden Wolf. So sorry to hear that. But we all got to, moving forward, right? There are no yields in crypto. There are no yields. If you can't figure out where they're generating the money from, they're generating it from you then. This is how it works. If you cannot figure out what the product is, you are the product. Let's make it simple. Bitcoin is no different than gold. If gold sits there on the table, it's not going to give you dividends. It's not going to earn you interest. The only way that you can earn interest is you got to be selling a product. And that product usually is either you're giving out loans and you're taking the interest from the loans and you're divvying that up to all your members. But I'm sorry, but that's not going to equal 6% per person on their on what they have stored with that whatever company. Not going to happen. This is how people get ripped off. It's how you get shit. It's how you get stolen, robbed, all that stuff above. It's like, so if you're not doing loans, you're gambling. That means they're playing in the market with your money. You want another company to play with your money in the market and have them lose it, knowing that there is no insurance that helps you out if they lose your funds. If they go belly up, you become a debtor. You are just a creditor to them, right? So they just owe you money. Good luck. If you can get pennies to the dollar, you're doing good. I'm telling you guys. Fucking Squirrel. I bought an FPGA right as they declared bankruptcy. I will never see my $3,500 from them. It will never happen. They basically, Squirrel Laboratories with GPU Hoarder and his wife, They basically spent all that money off having a good time and then declared bankruptcy while selling off all the units to a particular company that basically bought their interests out, and they defaulted on the rest of the customer base. You know, am I going to see my $3,500 back from them? Never. It's been a year. I will never see my money back. They robbed me. You know, GPU hoarder is a thief. You know, and this is a person that works with Ethereum. Yeah, he's an Ethereum guy, GPU hoarder. You know, this man will rob you. That's why, you know, it's like why I'm so I'm so anti like shitcoins, really, because you get people like GPU hoarder that are in the mix, you know, that are basically giving all of those projects the worst name because those are the people who are robbing you. So, you know, it's like we're all going to be, you know, learning little lessons here for this cycle. And, you know, one was, you know, never, for me, it was not to trust smaller FPGA companies. They're just not good. And for everybody else, it's going to be, don't leave your coins on exchanges. Don't think that there is any kind of yield farming of any sort. You're not yield farming. The yield is you. It's how quickly you can put your money in and pull it back out. That's the yield. And I was a big proponent on trying to tell people to stop gambling in the DeFi market. There's nothing decentralized about it. It's a highly centralized market where you're going to be looking at just getting robbed. It's a game of hot potato, and 90% of the people caught the hot potato. And now we're going to be seeing this going through the different various exchanges. So different exchanges, different lending funds, they're all going to be having an issue. Now, with the price of Bitcoin back on the rise, if there was companies that were teetering, this might have just been that little breathing room, put their head above water just enough to maybe make a move. And with that being said, being able to maybe make a move, we do have one exchange that actually survived at the FTX fallout. So Digital Surge out of Australia lost access to $23.4 million of digital assets that was locked up in FTX collapse. They were able to actually get a bailout. So on January 24th, Digital Surge creditors approved a 5-year bailout plan, which aims to eventually refund its 22,545 customers who had their digital assets frozen on the platform since November 16th. This is a good thing. I like to see a small little victory here while allowing the exchange to continue operating. So at least one of the exchanges that got touched by FTX is not completely dead, and we have some people that will in the next 5 years at least be able to get their crypto back. Good for them. I am so happy that somebody was able to help out some of these people. As per the deed of the company arrangement, the Australian Crypto Exchange will receive a $1.25 million loan from the associate's business, Digico, allowing the exchange to continue trading and operating. This will help them as they sit there and start bringing in the fees from trading and purchasing. They will be able to use this to also offset what they owe to the other customers who have their funds, as of right now, still currently locked up. Customers will be repaid in cryptocurrency and in fiat, depending on the asset's composition and their individual claims. So if somebody's like, "Hey, I had one Bitcoin in there. I just want my one Bitcoin. I don't want the dollar back. I want Bitcoin." They should be getting the Bitcoin back. That would be me, and it doesn't matter what that exchange says. Oh, that's not what the value was when you purchased it. Be like, no, I purchased a full Bitcoin. I want my full Bitcoin. and I do not want anything less than that. And if they're not willing to do that, then they're no difference than BitConnect at that point. And because BitConnect is only going to give back people the dollar value at the time of when when their accounts were frozen. So if they had a whole Bitcoin, but at the time it was only $1,000, well, they're only going to get $1,000 worth of Bitcoin, which is garbage. And I think that's why even BitConnect, they haven't seen a full payout, because there's people out there going, I had a full Bitcoin. I don't care that it was worth only $1,000 at that point. I had purchased a full Bitcoin. And that's where you're going to come into a lot of issues, I think, with the repayment restructuring agreement. BitConnect! I got that. BitConnect! Oh yeah. We're going to be seeing a lot of these crypto exchanges moving forward, showing that they have liquidity problems. So I would avoid leaving anything on the exchange that you're not willing to lose. If it's on the exchange, just pretend it's gone. This way, if you're able to put it back into your Bitcoin wallet, and you're like, nothing's lost, right? But if it gets frozen in the exchange, at least you're like, well, I knew it was gone before I moved it, you know. So be careful out there, guys. Definitely don't leave your shit out on the exchanges at all. Not worth it in any way, shape, or form. And if you guys haven't been paying any attention to this stuff, this is why I bring this stuff up on my Financial Wednesdays. 1.48 billion in Bitcoin options expires this Friday. Will Bitcoin be able to hold above 22,000 per Bitcoin? So the Bitcoin price has started to correct, and with a 1.48 billion in Bitcoin options expiring on the 27th, traders are watching to see if the price holds above 22,000. Bitcoin investors' sentiments improved after signals pointing towards a lower inflationary pressures suggested that the U.S. Federal Reserve could soon move away from its interest rate increasing and quantitative tightening. I think they should still continue doing quantitative tightening. I think there is still too much loose money out there, but we don't control that. So they're now looking at this as being a pivot, and the trend change would benefit risk assets such as cryptocurrencies. So on the 22nd, China-based peer-to-peer trades of USD coin reached 3.5% premium versus the US dollar, indicating moderate FOMO by retail traders. This level is at the highest than more than 6 months, guys, suggesting that excessive cryptocurrency buying demand has pressured the indicator far above fair value. The all-time high on the 7-day Bitcoin hash rate, an estimate of processing power dedicated to mining, also supports the bullish movement. The indicator peaked at 276.9 exahash per second on the 19th, signaling a reversion of the recent weakness caused by the miners facing financial difficulties. So as the price came back up, miners started turning their stuff back on because they're like, oh, it's profitable now. Game on! But where the bulls were too optimistic, but remained well positioned to a point. So Bitcoin's rally caught bears by surprise, as a mere 6% of the sell options for the monthly expired is placed above 22,000. Thus, the bulls are better positioned, even though they are set nearly 40% of their call or buying options at 23,000 or higher. So The bears are, if the market drops from here, the bears look at a potential profiting of about $595 million in profits. But if it doesn't go that way, and it goes for the calls, which is going to be the bulls, Bitcoin between 20 and 21,000. The calls, there's 12,800 calls versus 7,100 puts. Therefore, the net result favors bulls by 115 million. Between 21,000 and 22,000, 17,600 calls versus 2,800 puts. The net results favors the bulls by 320 million. Between 22 and 23,000, 21,200 calls versus 1,100 puts. Bulls remain in control, profiting $455 million. Between 23,000 and 24,000, 25,300 calls versus 0 puts. In other words, nobody's gambling in the downward direction if it hits above $23,000 per coin. Bulls completely dominate, racking up $595 million in profits, guys. So if we sit there and get if we can close probably about 23,500 per Bitcoin, it will basically wreck anybody who was shorting the market, and they will now be forced to buy or liquidate. Either way, bulls win. Bitcoin is doing crazy things this past week. It won't last. Past few weeks, it won't last. It's hard to say at this point. It really is. To see that we came right back up to where the market was before the whole FTX crash over here, guys. Right? I mean, this is the FTX crash right here. We've now gone back above that mark. So I think right now we're in healthy territory. I think we went through an oversold territory due to a big market hit, and we're now watching the market slowly recover from this. Like I said, I was expecting it to be about next month before we got to the area where we're at now. So I called this basically about a month early. You know what I'm saying? We're looking at I called this all out about a month early, guys. It was like towards the end of December, beginning of the year is where I called it. And again, I was like about a month off. And I knew that some of this was going to have some pent up energy due to we're now in the new tax season. People can start talking about trying to get profits again. And whenever you talk about people getting out of the old, the end of the tax season, going into the beginning of the new tax season, you're going to have a lot of hungry people trying to recover any of the losses that they might have occurred towards the end of last year. So I think we're gonna hold this $22,000 line here. I don't think we'll go below 21,000 at all. Not saying that it can't happen. I'm just saying as long as the market keeps its trajectory the way that it is, and nothing crazy freaking happens in the market, like Coinbase imploding on itself, something like that would bring the price of Bitcoin back down. But outside of that, Genesis going belly up is not going to affect the market the way people think. You're talking big money, and big money knows this is not their first rodeo. This is not going to shake big money if Genesis collapses. I don't think that Genesis will collapse. I think it'll get restructured. It's like the correction happened quick. Not really. I mean, if you really think about it, you're talking the beginning of November until, let's say, the 11th. So you're talking a couple of months for a wipeout of an exchange, and then the recovery of the market from that. And that's all this is. This is not a correction, because you got to remember, our correction. Oh, I did not want remove. You got to remember that the correction really comes from way up here at $69,000 per Bitcoin. So we're not seeing that correction, guys, right? So we're just seeing the correction from the FTX collapse. To me, this is a healthy correction at this point, right? I do not see anything, and then we're returning back to the median value. So the average trend line from a market that's been running this long, we should be at just under $22,000 per Bitcoin. So to me, there's nothing wrong with this market. We're good. We are good to go. When 3K Bitcoin, bro, I've got sell orders at 3K. I mean buy orders at 3K. I don't think we'll really see that happen unless we have a Coinbase collapses, and Gemini collapses, Coinbase collapses, then we might see something. But they would also have to take out a few other known exchanges worldwide also. If we dip below 10K, we go into 3K. I don't think we're gonna hit 10K. I don't think it's in the cards. And I said that as we were crashing from $65,000. People are like, oh, it's going to crash all the way down because there's no support anywhere up here. No, the market is totally changed. There's more people involved with Bitcoin. And again, if you look at the overall market value, the market cap of Bitcoin, of the whole crypto market, it never hugely dropped. So the odds of it dipping below 13,000 was a long shot. I said 12.5 would be the bottom floor that it would ever go below. And where did it end up falling? 15.6, 15.5, depending on what exchange you were looking at, right? So I think that this is your floor. It won't go below 15,000 per Bitcoin. I think there's too much buying pressure at that point. 3K, that'd be a rough one. That would take a cataclysmic event in the market, guys. I mean, that's just my viewpoint on it, my opinion, right, guys? Just the opinion. Here's an interesting one. I kind of like go woo to a small little bit, and then I'm like, oh man, it's the government, right? Arizona once again is trying to introduce a bill to make Bitcoin legal tender in the state of Arizona. State Senator Wendy Rogers, who is a Republican, has introduced a set of bills aimed at making Bitcoin legal tender in Arizona, allowing the state agencies to accept Bitcoin also. The proposed legislation aims to recognize Bitcoin as a legal form of currency in Arizona, allowing it to be used to pay for debts, taxes, and other financial obligations. In other words, if you needed to pay your electric bill, you can do that in Bitcoin. You need to pay your mortgage, you can do that in Bitcoin. It would force the banks to have to be able to accept this. Therefore, this bill will not pass. Got to remember, it is mostly a Democratic-run state, and the Democrats answer to mega corporations and banks, guys. So let's just go ahead and put a full stop on this one. It's one of those. It's a cool little idea, but it will never happen. The acceptance bill is more broad than saying that a state agency may enter into an agreement with a cryptocurrency issuer to provide a method to accept cryptocurrency as a payment method of fines, civil penalties, or other penalties, rents, taxes, rent rates, taxes, fees, charges, revenue, financial obligations, and special assessments to pay any amount due to the agency or the state. Again, they're not going to want to deal with this. They're going to be like, but we just want the cash. So you can go ahead and sell your Bitcoin, incur the taxable event from selling it, and then you can give us the money, the fiat, to pay what the fines or whatever it is that you need to do. I don't see a democratic state rolling over for that sweet busy Bitcoin, guys. Got a new credit card notice from my bank. They were outlining minimum credit card charges for buying crypto. They will treat it like a cash advance from your credit card. Yep. And that's how it's going to be, guys. It's an all-out war. They do not want the competition. It's not going to happen. This is where I've stated time and time again, where banks will protect their own interest. And their interest is in fiat. So anything that can hinder the movement of fiat, they are not for it. Because basically, as people get more and more heavily involved into Bitcoin, it makes fiat less relevant, which means that they have less ability to create money, right? Because they just create each bank, as they sit there and give out a loan, they're issuing new debt notes. I mean, let's just put it straight up for what it is. Fiat is just is an obligatory debt because it's overextended far beyond itself, and people just don't realize it. So if too many people get involved with Bitcoin, they stop taking the loans. When they stop taking the loans and they start paying the interest off, the banks start losing money. When the banks start losing money, they become illiquid, and then they start defaulting on the obligations that they also have. They need to have that constant flow of money, that constant flow of debt being created. Otherwise, they cannot create enough interest to pay all their obligations. Get the picture on that, guys? It will not happen here. As much as each one of us Bitcoiners, each one of us crypto guys out here are big proponents of ditching the dollar for Bitcoin. Until we have a revolution of the separation of the state and money, proper separation of state and money, we will not be able to have that kind of control over our own currency. It will always be left to the banks, and the government will sit there and protect the banks to the bitter end. So if we can't sit there and get everybody to grassroots just start utilizing it and giving the government the big middle finger onto this, you know what I'm saying? You're not going to see any of these countries, any big country with a central bank, they're going to protect themselves. Because as long as they control the money, they control the people. Period. If you earn fiat, they control you through taxation. You know, it's like, at what point, how much of a percentage of theft does it not, how can I put it? If 100% taxation is slavery, at what point in time is it not? Taxation at any level is slavery, period. And the government has grown to such a size that without having that instilled slavery upon the people, they cannot operate. They have basically, they've grown to a point where the people, me and you, can no longer really support them. That's why our money's going to shit. And then we have, these morons sitting here sending millions and billions over to the Ukraine and sending more weapons over to the Ukraine in the tunes of millions. Oh, we're going to send some tanks over there. It's not money. Yes, it is. Our tax-paying dollars already paid for those tanks that you're going to send over there and have Russia destroy. It makes no fucking sense. None whatsoever. But here it is. We're all going to pay for it. But they're not going to let you have your financial freedom, because then they could not continue doing this. So you see why there will, unless there's a revolution here in the United States, the separation of money in the state will never happen. Not in our lifetimes, at least. We might see the dual ecosystem like we already see now. There's already a dual ecosystem. But we're not El Salvador, right? We're not going to be Africa. We're not going to be, all these little countries, these little small island states that have been corrupted for years with the U.S. currency, their own currency, and defaulted many, many, many times. We're going to see them starting to adopt in crypto, because Bitcoin specifically, because it's the only way that the people will have confidence in the government for not running deficits on them. Because when you can print your currency, you can make the people pay. That's the problem. That's why the Constitution was written, because of the fact that our founding forefathers tried to stop this. But the same people that corrupted Britain corrupted here too. And they have circumvented the Constitution as much as they can. And now they're trying to go after the first two things in the Constitution that are guaranteed as rights of every human being in America: free speech and the right to bear arms. These are two things that are now on the chopping block here in the United States. When they get rid of those two things, because the first thing that they've done so far, it's just like a small little rant. California has called a large clip in a handgun an assault pistol, guys. It's not a handgun. It's now an assault pistol, which now they want to be like it's a military-style weapon that should be banned. Watch. They're going to try to go after handguns now. They're going to go after handguns because they would rather see you get killed than you being able to protect yourself. Just like, this is where like I said, it was like a little rant here. They don't want you to be able to financially protect yourself, because then they couldn't rob you. We're just dealing with corruption on corruption here. And that's the big reason why I'm so hot and heavy into Bitcoin. I don't trust any other cryptocurrencies out there, because to me, they can be controlled. Bitcoin can't be controlled. And therefore, the banks hate it, the governments hate it, and they all wish they stopped it. Too late. The founding fathers were against central banks and the Federal Reserve. Wrong. I hate to say that. Andrew Jackson was the person who was trying to bring in the central bank. I'm just going to say that. So, yes. Andrew Jackson was a central banker kind of guy. Yeah. Our founding forefathers were not perfect. But at least they tried to stop the corruption from Britain coming here for as long as possible. Yeah. And it's funny how central bank starts, we start World War I. Imagine that. Deficits ever since then. We've eroded more than 98% of the purchasing power since 1913. Subsequently, when the central bank was created here in the United States. Imagine that. So, unfortunately, this is the lay of the landscape that we are currently in. But it's interesting to see that there are some people in the governments that are trying to give the people a better option. At least it gives me hope that that not every single politician is 100% corrupt. Maybe some of them are only 80% corrupt. And here's some good news, guys. Goldman Sachs already ranks Bitcoin as the best performing asset of 2023, guys. Yo, you're seeing it here first, guys. Despite the massive setbacks that the Bitcoin industry has suffered last year, including bankruptcies and frauds investigations, the banking giant Goldman Sachs has ranked Bitcoin the best performing asset in the world this year. I will agree with that. According to the year-to-date asset return reported by Goldman Sachs, a former vocal critic of Bitcoin, the mating crypto has performed better than the likes of the S&P 500, gold, real estate, NASDAQ 100 this year. As per the screenshot shared, it won't open up. Bam. It won't open up any bigger. Bitcoin is total return and its risk-adjusted ratio. So, the Sharps ratio, it is scoring a 3.1 on the Sharp ratio. That is freaking huge, guys. Huge. You can't even get that in most other industries. The Russell 2000 with ARK Investment and MicroStrategies is only a 1%. It's at a 1% ratio. 10-year treasuries at a 1.8. Gold is at 2. IG credits 2.1. Emerging markets at 2.8. But Bitcoin is still king, guys. And it has been king for more than 12 years, guys. Yo. It has been the best performing asset for 12 years. So, indeed, the flagship asset with over 27% in total returns and risk-adjusted ratio of 3.1. The following assets are far behind, as the graph that they've shared indicates. So this is good. This is great news. For all of us holding that sweet Bizity Bitcoin, guys. Sweet Bizity Bitcoins. I love this. But the problem that we're going to be seeing next, guys, and a lot of people haven't really looked at it, is that goods and services are going to go on the rise, guys. And this is going to be a bad thing for everybody's pocketbook trying to invest into Bitcoin. So if you're trying to save up some money so you can buy your $10 or $10 a week or $10 a month, wherever your investment strategy is at, right? Just remember this. This is the U.S. Crude oil reserve. So before Biden got into office, we were at 726,000 barrels of crude oil, guys. As of today, we are at 398,000 barrels of crude oil. They're going to slow this down. They're not going to release all of this stuff moving forward. So as they slow down as they slow down them releasing barrels of oil, you're going to start watching fuel prices starting to rise. If you have not seen that already. If you haven't seen the price of oil going up as of yet, it means that you are in a smaller town that they're still sitting on old inventory. So the fuel that they're sitting on is still some of the subsidized fuel. As they run out of that fuel and start having to buy barrels of fuel on the open market again, they're going to watch the prices raise up on it, right? So we are going to be sitting there watching the prices go up. The only prices that I watch, I got a diesel truck, guys. My diesel fuel during that whole time never went down. I still was paying almost $5 per gallon of diesel fuel. That's why the stuff you're buying at the store never changed price, because they did not create more diesel fuel and drop the price of diesel fuel in any way, shape, or form. They basically dropped the gas price for the working class so that they would vote for them. Now that the voting's done, They're going to slow down the amount of barrels that they're going to release. They cannot release all their strategic oil reserves. It's just not going to happen. They've got to be able to have so much oil in reserve in case the military needs it, because that's realistically why we have a stockpile of oil. Is either one, there is a disruption in the oil supply chain, or two, there's a big war conflict, and realistically, they went ahead and took the money that they were normally spending on oil and started giving it out to big corporations instead of making sure that the whole industry could survive. They just made sure companies survived and not the industry. Now we're going to see the ramifications of killing off the economy in this direction. We will be there in the summer. We're going to watch gas prices go flying back up, and this is going to be the new norm, guys. Like I've already watched gas prices in my area shoot back up. Illinois, there's a lot of vehicles here. They will blow through that subsidized oil very quickly. So we are going to be watching a lot of the expenses for everything starting to slowly creep up coming this summer, guys. So, and wages aren't going to match it, because the employers, their cost of doing business is going up, which means that if they're publicly traded, they're going to be answering to stock shareholders and not the employees, which that's going to backfire on them too as companies implode, because why would I want to sit there and work for a company that's not going to give me a living wage? If the cost of living is $16, $17 an hour, and they're only willing to pay me, $10 an hour, there's a big disconnect. And why should I work if they're not going to give me, quote unquote, a living wage? These are the simple facts moving forward. And that's why there's a lot of companies that are going to start downsizing moving forward. Also, is that they're going to be looking at these same numbers and going, we need to give people a cost of living raise. But in order to do that, I've got to whack out, 5,000 employees over here. Microsoft's laying people off. Facebook's going to lay people off. We're going to see Amazon going to start doing that next. Once the slowing of the economy really starts grappling in this summer, guys. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to go out of business, out of work. A lot of companies going to go out of business. And and on top of that, we're now looking at the Saudi Arabians now starting to look at accepting other currencies other than the dollar for purchasing of oil. That will dethrone the United States as the petrodollar, and that will put the U.S. into a death spiral. If nobody wants to take on the U.S. Paper debt notes, then our economy locks up. If our economy locks up, we're screwed. Absolutely screwed. And here it is. We're also having an open border, through Mexico. Why? Because that's bringing in cheap labor. Because in order for us to be able to compete, we need cheaper labor. People who live here and know how things are want too much money. We are worth too much. They'll sit there and take an uneducated immigrant and work him to death at $5 an hour, knowing that he is not a legal citizen, therefore he cannot complain about the low wages. Yep. And this is just the beginning, Golden Wolf. 100%. This is just the beginning. They wanted to, they redefined what a recession is. We've been in a recession since last year. I mean, all of us Bitcoiners, we all fucking know this. We've been in an absolute recession. Now it's everybody else that wasn't paying attention. They're about to feel it, especially when they lose their job and they can no longer afford their lifestyle. So the way that I tell people, get your debt in order now. It's gonna be worse. So if there's any which way you can get credit cards paid off, anything, get that shit paid off now, guys. This is like a PSA to all of you. It's like we need to make sure that we are sitting in a good position. You need to start looking at if you're sitting there at lunch and you're eating at McDonald's every day for lunch, stop. Bring some water in from home because it's free for now, and bag your own lunch because you're $10 at a grocery store can make you 2 or 3 days worth of lunches. These are going to be the corners that we're going to have to cut. We're going to have to go back to lean and mean, guys. This economy is not going to handle what they're about to do, and I guarantee you they're going to pass another fucking another spending bill. Watch. It's going to be all tied into Ukraine. Watch. They're trying to start World War III at our expense. Our tax dollars is going to start it. And they're not going to care. They will not care. You can already tell that our government does not care. That we have an absolute open border policy. We're destroying the American way of life as we know it. So we need to make sure that at least our group of people, all of you awesome people here, that we're able to sit there and survive past this. So the best thing I could sit there and say, this would be advice. Get your debt in order. I'm not telling you how to spend your money, but I'm going to tell you guys, you need to get your debt in order. This is the biggest financial advice I could probably give anybody, is getting your debt in order. Stop living above your means. If you can cut corners anywhere in your weekly budget and your monthly budget, do so. We need to make sure that we will survive in a better position on the other end of this, guys. And for anybody that takes this to heart, you're going to thank me later. Start cutting corners any which way you can. It's like, yes, I went on a vacation. Did I spend? I spent hardly any money while I was out there. Normally, I would have spent $1,000, $2,000 while on vacation. I didn't spend hardly anything. I did a single 4-wheeler trip, $65. A lot of money there, right? I spent $65 for myself, $65 for the wife. That's all the extra money I really spent while I was down there. That was the least that I've ever spent on a vacation. Why? Because I wanted to make sure when I came back, I can start paying off bills, getting everything in order. I knew that this was supposed to be, something that we need to do. Patrick, we should do a prepper podcast together. We certainly could. We certainly could. I think all the corners be cut. I only have a circle left. Well, there's something in that circle that has a jagged corner. Cut it. But yeah, I mean, like, the times are going to get a little tough here, guys. I think this year is going to be a really bad year. We're going to be feeling all the money printing that our government did this year. So, yeah. Like, I am all about it. Nice. So, if anybody's got any comments or questions, we are a little over that 1 hour marker. I made up for the little bit of a technical difficulty I had trying to utilize NVIDIA Broadcast's new little feature that's... I probably have to update a driver or something for it. Yeah, Patrick, if you're wanting to do something like that, if you've already got like a little podcast thing going on, I'd be down to do like maybe a day or 1 day a week or something like that, or 1 day a month, something like that. It's like, I just got in, not sure what all I missed. You missed a lot. So, all right, everybody. Well, with that being said, we are over that 1 hour marker, guys. I'm going to go ahead and call it a day, guys. And in a couple of weeks, if you guys are into video games at all, I know I'm a big kid here. I've got the new Harry Potter game. Well, it's not. It's the Hogwarts Legacy. It's not really Harry Potter. It's before Harry Potter. But I've got that game on pre-order. So in a couple of weeks, I'll be getting that. It'll be next month on the 7th because I'll get early access to it. So I will be playing the hell out of that game because got to entertain yourself somehow. But yeah, and yeah, Patrick, if you want to, I'd probably be down. For at least once a month we could do something, or if we got a really good connection and there's some good topics we can go over, we could probably do it like once a week if it's good. Yeah, hit me up. You know where to find me. Discord links down below. Hit me up in there. If you're new here, join the Discord. It's free. Love to have all you guys part of the community. It's where it's all at. And if you want to have your stuff hosted at the facility, I was told it supports white supremacy, so I might order 2 copies. Oh, God. Oh, gosh. Too funny, too funny. Heck yeah, man. We could sit there and we could talk about all that stuff, how gun control is shit, and making sure that you have your house in order for any impending doom. I'm always down for talking about that. I can talk political, whatever. I try to dance that fine line here with the politics side of it, where I try to not lean one way or the other way too far. I try to stay more balanced in the middle here, and just kind of show the policies that I don't like. I don't really care who's making the policies. These are policies I don't like. Republicans make policies I don't like. Democrats have made policies I don't like. There's good and bad with both sides of the aisle. But yeah. And either way you look at it, the status quo in the government is the reason why we have such deficits, the way that's impacting all of us. But yeah, I'd be down there, to do some discussions and stuff like that. So thank you everybody for being here. All that good stuff. Smash that Lizzie like button. Subscribe if you're new here. Hit the bell notification for everything. Yo! And I will definitely see you all on the next one. So peace out, stay savage, and may your hash stay be high and your watts be low. I'll see you guys on the next one. Yo!